This is Dick Budnick, and I wanted to just do a real quickie video on how to set up the Olympus FL600r flash to use as an external flash and to also use as a flash on the camera itself. I'm starting with I wanted to start with showing you the settings in the camera. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the monitor from the camera and projecting it onto a screen capture program on my computer. So it may look a little strange, but alright, so this is the normal shooting menu for this is the Olympus E-M5, and and this is in its typical shooting mode. What I do for flash is I shoot in manual mode. You could also shoot shutter priority or aperture priority. Shutter priority is probably better than aperture priority for flash. And first thing you want to do is take a look at the Super Control Panel settings. So if I press the OK button, the Super Control Panel opens up. You see I'm using 800 ISO, balancing for fluorescent. I have compact fluorescent lights here. Just shooting large JPEG for this demonstration. And you can see that the flash basically is grayed out. I'm doing second curtain sync for the flash, and this is the flash compensation, 0.0. But you see it's grayed out because right now I don't have the flash turned on. What I do have is I have the accessory little flash that comes with the camera, which is used to trigger external flashes or to be used as a very weak little direct flash on the camera. So the deal is, what shutter speeds can we use and how do we set up the camera to be able to handle the external flash at the shutter speeds we're interested in. So if I lift up the flash, the little accessory flash that's on the camera, go back into the Super Control Panel, now you see that the settings for the second curtain sync and for the flash compensation are not grayed out anymore, so they're active. Okay, and if I want to change the compensation for the flash, I hit the OK button, and you can see I can dial in compensation, go plus or go minus. This is flash compensation, not camera compensation, because the camera exposure, base exposure, is being controlled by manual mode at 1/25th of a second at the moment, f4. I'll bring that up. See, at a 13th of a second would be the exposure without using the flash. All right. Let me pop the flash down for a second and just take a picture to show you what the lighting conditions look like. All right. And if I go into playback mode with the camera, you can see it's okay. It's a decent ambient flash. Back into shooting mode. Gonna lift the little accessory flash so that it's active, and then I'm going to simply take a picture. And I've got the camera pointed obviously directly at the computer, so let's see if we can see where the flash shows up. Alright, I go into playback mode. Alright, you can see here basically that the flash did fire. You can see the little flash in the bottom of the screen on the monitor there. Hold up a bit. Okay. And if I raise the shutter speed, I'm going to go up to, when I have the flash popped up, I can only go to a 2/50th of a second. That's the sync speed. I'm going to close the flash for a second, take a picture there, and show you that without using the flash, okay, that we have a fairly underexposed picture. Right? If I raise the flash so that the flash can fire, zero compensation again, and this time I'm going to take the flash, play it back, okay, and you can see the flash clearly fired on the little pop-up flash. All right. Now, the interesting thing happens here is what happens when you go into the RC mode. where the little flash on the camera is there to act as a trigger to fire an external flash. So in this situation, what I'm going to do is turn on the RC mode, which you do by pressing the menu, going down to shooting menu 2, coming down to RC mode, changing that to on. All right. Now when I hit the OK button, instead of getting the super control panel, you get the flash panel. And you can see that the way it's set up at the moment is we're working on, around in there, we have our flashes, all our flashes set to channel 1. I've got them set to high power. And at the moment I have it set to FP. FP is the high speed sync, where the flash is capable of syncing at any speed. All right? Now, that only applies to the FL600 and the FL300. The other flashes don't have high speed capability. So, when I have it set to FP, if I go over here, I have 3 different groups that are working on channel 1. And I can go into each flash and set each flash to a different group. Like one group for, say, frontal lighting, a second group for background lighting, a third group maybe for hair lighting or rim lighting. Okay. And at the moment, I only have the one external flash, so it's reading the external flash and sensing that it's well, right now it is turned off, but I have it set for high-speed flash TTL mode. And when I'm in that mode, you'll notice that the camera flash, the little weak trigger flash, is set to off. And if I want to, so right now when it means it's set to off, it means that the light coming out of the little trigger flash isn't contributing anything to the exposure. We see it. When we look at a reflection of it, we can see that the flash went off, but it really doesn't contribute. It's a very weak flash. It doesn't contribute any significant amount of light to doing an average exposure, particularly once you get more than a couple of feet in front of the camera. Okay. Oops. But you see, I can't change it. I can't turn it. I can't turn on the little flash to give me a meaningful exposure until I get rid of the FP mode. So if I go up here, I go over to the setting for either regular flash or FP, press that and set it back from super flash to normal mode, then go back into that panel. You see now I can come down and the regular little trigger flash is set for TTL mode. So now it's going to fire and it's going to contribute its light to the overall lighting of the scene. Okay? So if I take the flash under those circumstances, and I go in and look at what we got, we can see the flash did fire. And we're at a shutter speed here of a 1/60th of a second. And as long as I'm using the little flash in TTL mode, you can see that the shutter speed can only go to 1/60th of a second. I can't get it to go any higher than that. Okay. Now, if I turn the external flash on, which I have sitting next to me here, the external flash is in, I have it set up so that it is in RC mode, and it's using channel 1. All right, I'm going to back up a bit here so I can show you. The flash is actually in the foreground of this scene. If I turn the flash off, I can now use any shutter speed I want here. If I go back into the control panel for RC mode, and I can go up to the high-speed sync, FP mode. All right? And when I'm in there, if I turn the flash on, the little flash on, now you see again, the light coming from the little accessory flash on the hot shoe is not going to contribute anything to the scene. The only light that's going to contribute to the scene is going to be the main external flash, which I have actually pointing up at the ceiling. I'm not sure. I'm hoping it'll show a flash when I do the sync here. But we're at a 2,000th of a second, and we should still be able to get the flash to fire, I think. Okay, and if we play it back, we see it go off. Well, I think we saw it go off in the foreground stuff. because if I turn the flash off altogether, take a picture. Okay, so the flash is turned off. If we take a picture, then none of the flashes should fire in this circumstance. They didn't. And yeah, you can see there's basically the picture is, that's just a blinky. The flashing blinkies for black, so basically everything in the picture is black. Screen. Right there. That's actually that's showing you what we got in terms of an exposure. Okay. So I'm going to turn the flash back on at this point. Go back into the RC mode. All right, with the flash turned on, we're at a 2,000th of a second. I'm going to take a picture. All right, the flashes look like they fired to me. When I go into playback mode, you can see that the flash that's the off-camera flash did light up the papers at the front of the computer, and it is contributing to the scene. You can also see that the little flash I have on the camera doesn't show up at all in the picture. Okay, I'm going to change the angle of the head of the flash, the external flash, so it points at the actual screen. Now let's repeat that picture. All right, and let's go into playback mode, and there you can see that the external flash definitely went off in that exposure. Okay, but again, you only see a single flash. You don't see the second flash from the little accessory flash that's on the camera. Okay? So that's and the advantage of this is that I can shoot in any speed now, because I have that external flash, which is flash A here. I have that set up for FP mode, and I can control my compensation through here, going up from +3, +5. I can go in one direction down to -5 f-stops. So if I set it at +5, all right, and take another picture, play that back, you can see we got quite a bit out of the flash. If I go to -5, flash compensation, picture, play it back. You see, that's -5 f-stops. The flash still went off, but it didn't contribute much to the light of the scene. Okay? And at zero compensation, flash. All right, and that's the zero compensation. All right, so basically you can, when you have, it all comes down to this remote control panel. When the panel is turned on in the camera, in the menu setting, and you're in this mode, my suggestion is always keep the camera in the FP TTL mode. You'll almost never want the light of the little accessory flash that's on the hot shooter camera contributing. If you do want it to contribute, then what you're going to have to do is take it out of the FP mode, go back to regular mode. Okay, that makes it just TTL instead of FP TTL. And at that point, then you do have TTL available to you. Actually, what you have available is you have TTL, you have manual mode, you have off for the little accessory flash that's on the hot shoe. So I'm going to leave it in TTL mode. And again, you could adjust the flash compensation separately for both of those flashes. Now, if I fire now, hopefully we will see. Oh, but you know, what you paid for this is, instead of being able to shoot at a 4,000th of a second, the maximum speed we can shoot at is a 1/160th of a second. I can go slower, but I can't go any higher than 1/60th of a second. So if I take the picture now and play it back, see, now you see both flashes. You see the external flash on the right side, and the little flash is the flash coming from the camera itself, the reflection coming back from the camera itself. Okay? So the key is, if you really need that, to use the little trigger flash turned on to help add some light to the scene, possibly to fill in, shadows under somebody's eyes or whatever. You can set it for low power and let it pop, but you're limiting your exposure to 1/60th of a second. I prefer to always use the camera off the flash, so I would always like to go up to the F and put the camera into FP mode, okay? And so that my external flashes are in FP TTL. The little trigger flash is set to off, and again, when we take that picture, we can do it at any shutter speed. Let's go up, try it even at a 4,000th of a second. Now it's pulsing the flash to be able to do this, you recall. But all right, both flashes fired. At least they look like they fire, but the little flash on the camera doesn't contribute anything to the scene. See, it doesn't even show up as a reflection. So basically, that's how you use the little accessory flash. So 1/60th of a second if it's not FP mode. If it is in FP mode, you can't use the little accessory flash to get any power, but the external flash can be, you can fire the external flash at any shutter speed. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take off the little external flash, and I'm going to put the big FL600 onto the hot shoe and show you how that changes things. So let me turn the camera off for a second while we're doing this transition. I'm pulling off that flash. I'm going to have a hot shoe on here, or a foot that I have to take off. I'm going to turn the flash off for a second, and I guess we can keep it forward. Mounting the flash onto the camera. I want the camera off. I want the flash off while I'm making the connection. You got to push it in a little bit farther than you think. Throw the lever so it locks. All right. So now we're in this position. I lost my cords. I can turn the camera on first. All right. It's coming on. There you go. We got our monitor back here. And all right. And I can turn the flash on. And when I turn the flash on, at the moment, it's still in RC mode. And the reason it's in RC mode is because I have the RC panel still turned on here. You see, the RC mode is still turned on here. So what happens when you're in this mode? When I press, I get my panel again. But now the flash shown by channel A is the external flash, but it's mounted on the camera. But it's in FP mode at the moment. But it's also this flash now. It's now the camera flash, and it's set for off. And the same rule applies with the FP. If I had a second external flash that was off camera, I can use this the big flash that's now mounted on the camera as the trigger to trigger that extra external flash. And that extra external flash would be controlled, depending on whether I had it in group A, B, or C. It would be controlled by its own setting for FP and TTL. If I want to fire the flash, and it would be able to fire at any shutter speed also. Okay? You see, I can use any shutter speed here, even 4,000th of a second. However, if this the only flash I'm using is the big flash on the camera, I want to take it out of RC mode. And, well, actually, before I take it out of RC mode, I think I can go over here, change it from FP back to regular flash, go back into the panel. All right, so that's it up on the top. Can I turn this on now? Yes, I can now turn that flash on in TTL mode. All right. But now you'll notice the shutter speed, instead of being limited to 1/60th of a second, is actually limited to a 200th of a second. Okay? So when it was the little accessory flash, the maximum speed we could get, if it's on the camera, is 1/160th. If it's the big flash, the FL600 on the camera, but still in RC mode, we can get it to fire at 1/200th of a second only. Okay? Oops, manual. Change it back to TTL. Okay, and if I take a flash picture and play it back, okay, you see we have the one flash right on the camera, basically. All right. Now, if I want to be able to get to a higher speed and have the flash, the big flash on the camera, I have to take it out of RC mode. So without changing any settings on the flash itself, the flash was still reading that it's in RC mode when I look at the setting on the mode for the back of the flash. If I simply go to the menu, come down to shooting menu 2, and now turn off the RC mode. All right, so that goes away. All right, and let me just hit the info button to get back to the super control panel, go back to shooting mode. So when I hit OK now, instead of giving the RC panel, it gives me the super control panel. Okay, but what it does when I do that is now it changes, it takes the flash, the big flash, which is on the camera, it takes it out of RC mode and it puts it into FP TTL auto mode, which is the way I had it set up initially. And I didn't have to make any settings on the flash to do that. But now it has the ability that it can shoot at any shutter speed, I believe. Let's see if that's the case. Yes. You see, I can take it up to even a 4,000th of a second, and I can fire the flash. And when I play it back, you see the flash went off. Okay. So it's and if I just simply at this point, if I just simply take the flash off the camera, okay, the flash automatically reverts back to RC mode when it's off the camera. So it's pretty versatile. So generally what I do is I always have the settings on the flash when I set it up initially. I set it up for FP mode, for TTL, and for auto. Now you can go in and you can change the mode setting. The mode on the flash itself, it's the dial. You press the upper part of the circular dial, and it flashes the mode settings that are currently there. And then you move the outer wheel of the dial, and then you can go to FP manual. You can go to TTL auto. You can go to let's see. You can go to just manual. You can go to just auto without the TTL, right? Or you can go to FP TTL auto. And when you're happy, you hit the OK button on the flash. So that's what you had to do to set it up initially, all right? So really, that's all there is to it. Now, when I want to go back and use it as an external flash, so I'm going to turn the camera off while I do this. Turn the camera off. And when you turn the camera off, by the way, the flash goes off automatically. You don't have to hit the off button. Taking the big flash off the camera, putting the little flash back onto the camera. Okay. And raising it. And I'm going to take the external big flash, put it back on the little foot. Don't lose the foot. It's very useful at times. You don't want to do stuff on a tripod. Okay. Going to turn that back on, and as soon as I turn it back on, it comes to RC mode. All right. Set it right on the edge of the laptop. We'll turn the camera back on. Okay. All right. And now let's see, where did we leave this? So right now, super control panel, the little flash is up on the accessory flash. All right. So right now, it is limited to a shutter speed of 2/50th of a second because we're basically just using the little trigger to trigger to shoot the flash, the little flash on the hot shoe. I don't think it's going to fire the external flash. Let's see if this happens. Okay, I play it back. Yes, and you see the only flash you see is the flash of the little accessory flash that's on the camera itself. The big external flash, which is off to the bottom right on the frame you're looking at, did not fire, right? Because we were not in RC mode. All right. Now, if I take the camera and go back, hit the menu on the camera, go to the shooting menu 2, come back down to RC mode and turn it on. All right. Now, still got the little flash up on the camera. See, now it's reverted to 1/60th of a second instead of a 2/50th of a second. The external flash is on and ready to fire in RC mode. When I go back into the panel now, the RC panel, you see, again, in this possibility, we're shooting the external flash right now just in TTL, not in FP TTL. But we're doing that because we want both flashes to fire. But we're limited to 1/60th of a second. So I'm going to fire, and we should see 2 flashes. See, we see both flashes. All right. And if I go back to the panel again, and this time I'm going to turn that. In fact, I don't even have to turn it off. I can leave it on there. All I have to do in the panel is go up to FP, turn FP mode back on, back into the panel. See, that automatically turned the camera flash off, and it has the remote flashes on. And if I get out of the panel, I can now dial in any shutter speed I want because we're in FP mode, and I can pick the flash. And what we should see is only the external flash fired. Yeah. See, the external fired, but the internal flash did not fire. Okay? So really, that's really all there is to this. It's pretty simple. It takes a little while, because what's the confusing thing about it is you got to notice, are you in this FP mode or not? All right? And now to go back to, I'm going to turn the RC mode off. Again, oops, shooting menu number 2. Go down, turn that off. All right, go back to live view. And again, now that I'm back in live view and I get my super control panel back, I'm doing second curtain sync. I'm using only the flash that's on the little hot shoe now, not firing the external flash at all. Okay, so one last picture. And when we look at that, we see it fired the on-camera flash. It did not fire the off-camera flash because we're out of RC mode. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to turn off camera. I'm going to turn off the external flash, and I'm going to stop recording this video. And hopefully everything worked and we had sound and everything's okay.